Welcome to PM Express Business Edition. Well, it's supposed to play a very strategic role in the country when it comes to our petroleum reserves, as well as transporting these products to depots in the country. But are they moving away from this prime focus into other areas that's gotten some people worried? Yes, I'm talking about the bulk storage and transport company, Govt. Well, we're engaging the chief executive, that is Mr. Edwin Provençal, to get more details or get his thoughts about this whole transactions and what they're doing. And what about this whole Gold for Oil program and the rationale behind it, and the concern about the fact that they are getting into an area where they are not supposed to be. My name is George Wiafe, and I'm indeed honored to have the chief executive of the bulk storage and transport company, Mr. Edwin Provençal. Not Provençal, right?
Provençal.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah.
How is the company doing right now as we speak in terms of Govt?
Govt. I guess you should be the one telling me how Govt is doing from the outside.
But from the inside, the numbers and all those things, some would say, a very turbulent industry. I mean, tomorrow you wake up, just a development in Russia or Ukraine could change the price dynamics and all those things. Yes. And how is that impacting on your operations as a business?
Yes, I mean, Govt as a company, we've come a long way. I mean, to sum the Govt story up, a company that was making about 456 million CD loss in 2016. God being so good, in 2021 we made 161 million CDs profit, and then 2022 we are yet to do our AGM, but we've more than doubled that number. So we are in good shape going forward. I mean, one of our vision is to be one of the best run state-owned enterprises in the country, which we think from all these awards you see there shows that we are en route to achieving that. In terms of our brand, we used to the most terrible brand in the company, known for contamination and for all sorts of things. We've come a long way.
I'll be coming much deeper into the financials and even the safer products and all the rest. But I mean, on the outside, we know Govt for being into bulk storage and transport and all those things. But help me out or help our viewers out. Apart from this, what else are you into as a company?
That's all we do. We have three main mandates. The first mandate is to provide petroleum security for the country. The second is to build infrastructure to ensure that when we bring in the products, we can store the product and then transport the product from wherever we want to transport to. So a network of petroleum infrastructure for storage, transportation, and distribution of petroleum products. The third one is to export. We bring in the products, we can take advantage of the opportunities in the landlocked countries. And now Africa Free Trade Continental Agreement makes it more of a viable business to be able to export to those countries. I think a lot of people are confused about the role Govt plays. So Govt is a limited liability company. And that means that Govt has shareholders.
And government is the main shareholder.
And government is the main shareholder. And one of the expectations of any shareholder in a limited for-profit company is to ensure that the entity makes money. So Govt is expected to make money. However, if you look at our three mandates, the first mandate, which is build a network of infrastructure, petroleum infrastructure, which is pipeline, storage, barges, etc., to enable efficient transportation of petroleum products across the country. That mandate has both a profit motive, because we can lease our assets to those who don't have the facilities. We can lease it to them. The pipelines we can lease, The storage tanks, we can sell ullage, but we need to do it profitably. But it also has a social mandate.
Yeah.
The social mandate is that if you look at the volume of tank farms in Tema area, you can see it is over-tanked. Every private sector who wants to build a tank farm builds it in Tema. When you start going out of Tema, it's only Bust that exists. Why? Because in those areas, they are not profitable for the private people. So if government mandates Bust to operate in those areas, like Buipe, Bolga, Sabelugu, Akosombo area, if we put pipelines and infrastructure in those areas, it's it's providing a social mandate, not really a profit mandate. Now, that social mandate, that cost of providing that social mandate needs to be borne by the shareholder, and the shareholder is you and I. So that is why there's the boss margin for the maintenance of the equipment that we own in those areas. So, yes, we are a for-profit company. We are expected to make money. But we also provide social mandates. The second mandate as well, which is to provide 6 weeks of strategic storage, for example. How many people will buy petroleum products and store? You can't go and collect $300 million facility to buy petroleum products and store. It doesn't happen. That particular product is like insurance policy. And I'm sure for your own car insurance, I'm sure you pay for the car insurance, all right?
Yeah.
So if the beneficiaries of the insurance this policy, which is strategic reserve, is Ghanaians or Ghana, then who should pay for the storage of the reserve? It should be Ghanaians.
But don't you think that the argument will come in about the fact that it's when that entity is not allowed to do any commercial or for-profit activity, and therefore if that entity is engaging to for-profit activity, then I as a shareholder, there should be an extent where I should limit the support for this institution.
It depends. It depends on how you look at it, because a social service is a social service. Unfortunately, we are in a position where maybe the shareholder now needs to have a serious conversation about, do we want to provide only social services, or do we want to also provide services that will inure to the benefit of the people of Ghana profitably? You get what I mean?
I went through, when you assumed office and you outlined your vision and all the rest, you talked about one thing about being the #1 in this space that you operate. Few years down the line, do you think that you have achieved that?
I think...
Still struggling to get there?
I normally don't like boasting. But
bringing the company up to be in that space.
The awards
so
are
you think
there
you've
to
got
see. I think our vision we had and the strategies we put in place and the consistency of execution has culminated in all those awards, which shows that at least Bust is one of the best.
Let's come back to, you talked about strategic reserve. We're going to be getting back to this whole idea about bust margin and all the rest. But as we speak right now, what is the state of our strategic reserves, if we even have any?
That's a good question. Every time I'm asked, do you have strategic reserves? What I say is that we have inventory. I don't call that inventory reserves.
Where help Pakojo, a layman working.
Yeah, so I have petroleum products in my tanks, but they are not strategic reserves. Why? Because nobody is paying for strategic reserves. The strategic reserve levy, which is meant solely for strategic reserve, has been zeroed out since 2006.
By who?
I don't know. The NPA, obviously, then government in power then. And so nobody is paying for the country to hold strategic reserves. So what we depend on is the inventory the stocks in tanks that are monitored by NPA to ensure that at least at any particular point in time, we are not running out.
Mr. Province, I mean, help me for the layman again. When I think about BOST, the first thing that comes to my mind is strategic reserves. Now, from, again, your explanation, we don't have strategic reserves, we have inventory. Again, it comes back to the question about your mandate and whether you or the company
My mandates are 3.
Are you worried that as we speak right now, there aren't strategic reserves because nobody's paying for them and they are only inventory?
So, this question, it has to go to the policymaker, not to me.
I'm
running a business.
To convince
I'm
your
running a
board
business.
members who put you there and your shareholders that listen.
We know we don't have money to buy the strategic reserves. We know that, but we are trying. What we do is we make sure we have enough inventory to keep the country running. The nation needs to have a certain conversation, and that conversation should lead to how we're going to finance our strategic reserves. It's a very critical information. If you ask me whether does Ghana need strategic reserves, I say yes, Ghana needs strategic reserves. If you ask me whether a for-profit company like BOST should be the one buying, going to take a loan from the bank to keep petroleum products for the nation, I would say no. We can't do that because the strategic reserve, like I said, is like an insurance policy, and you and I who benefit from the insurance policy, we need to finance that reserve. How to finance it is a discussion that needs to be had by the policyholder and various stakeholders to find an optimal way of financing those reserves.
Is the BOST margin not enough to take care of all these operational costs of yours?
No. BOST margin is strictly for maintenance and operations of the network assets. And it's I mean, it used to be about 37%. 2021, it used to be 37% of our income. 2022, it moved to, or 2021 used to be about 47% of our income. 2021, it got to 37%. 2022, as I speak to you, it's about 11% of our income. It's nothing to write home about. If you look at the impact on the forex today as compared to what we get today to manage the facilities, it's not enough. If you cast your mind back, we requested for
an increment.
It
didn't happen.
In 2019. It was 3 pesos, and it had been 3 pesos since 2011. In 2019, it was increased, and then there was hue and cry, and it was taken out. Then we made an appeal again, and it was increased to 6 pesos. And then it was still not enough. We made another appeal. It was increased to 9 pesos. Then it was reduced again to 7 pesos. And so it's been tough. But without the BOST margin, this inroads we have made, and by that I mean for the past 11, 12 years that we hadn't made any profit, without the BOST margin that was increased, we would never have achieved anything. BOST would still have been a company that was crawling and trying to survive.
I ask this question again, do you think that the time has come to convince your shareholders, convince your board that, listen, we need strategic reserves and that has to be financed one way or the other? So if the BOST margin has to be reviewed or whatever, we deal with that. Because again, I said, as a layman, I find this very troubling.
Yeah, I know. We're all Ghanaians. I'm also a stakeholder.
You're a technical person.
I'm a stakeholder in this country as well. This conversation should be asked to our people who make policy decisions, and it should be asked to the people we have elected in Parliament, the Energy Subcommittee. It should be, they should be, this question should be going to them. We execute policy. We are executors. We know it's in our mandate. Those strategic reserve stocks of petroleum products to meet a minimum of 6 weeks of petroleum consumption.
That should be seen as a core mandate that should get you worrying as a
But
as a
since
head of the institution.
2006, the strategic reserve levy, the money that is earmarked to buy strategic reserves has been zeroed out.
You think
It's zero.
should be brought back?
I think we should find an optimal way of financing the strategic reserve. If the levy is not the optimal way, then we should find an optimal way of financing the strategic reserve. I mean, there are other levies that I think some of them may have met their objectives. We can find a way of converting those.
Recovery levy.
Yeah, we can find a way of, I don't know, but I know there are some levies that would have met their objectives already. And then some of them could be converted into, or could be transferred into a strategic levy or a strategic reserve fund that finances strategic reserves.
With this inventory that you have,
Yes.
God forbid if the war and everything, we cannot import products.
Yeah.
How long would this inventory be able to last?
Yeah, with gold for oil in place, I think we could go about 4 weeks, not 6 weeks. But then there are other products in other petroleum tanks in the country.
But these are private?
Private, yes. But NPA monitors all of that. And they monitor so I think if you combine all of that, we have over 12, 13 weeks of consumption.
But those others are private?
They are private. Yeah, they are private.
I mean, again, does it give you sleepless nights that for you, we've not been able to get to that level since that year that we've built strategic reserves? Or you think that, listen, we'll get there?
It used to give me sleepless nights. It used to. But I think the policymakers are working round the clock to find innovative ways to ensure that the country doesn't run out of oil. So that has brought my angst and my anxiety down a bit.
Again, help me with some education here. What is the difference between the strategic reserves and this invention that you're talking about? Because, again, you raise an argument about going for loans, you know, you want to keep these products for this long and all the rest. So help me out.
The reason I call it inventory is the fact that when I pick a facility to bring in petroleum products, I need to pay back that facility. And so I can't hold the product for that long, or else I can't pay back the loan that I took. So there is a risk. If I call that strategic reserve, I can't call it, I mean, I'm very truthful, so I can't call that strategic reserves. It is my inventory. If a customer buys, I'll sell it. I'll sell it to him because I need to pay back the loan I have collected. For strategic reserve, if I have strategic reserve, then I am forced to ensure that at any particular point in time, even though I am trading, I should have a minimum of 6 weeks reserve. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, because nobody is financing that strategic reserve, which is an insurance policy, and nobody is paying the premium for the insurance policy, I am not mandated to keep those reserves. You get what I mean?
Interesting.
Thank you.
This is PM Express Business Edition. As you look at the country's strategic reserve position and BOST as well as an institution, are they staying on track or they're getting out of track? This is PM Express Business Edition. Be right back after this break. Business Edition, let's look at Ghana's petroleum reserves and the role that the bulk storage and transportation company is doing in all these things, and whether they are on track or they are getting off the track. Mr. Edwin Pavinka is the chief executive of this company. Thank you so much for your time. There's a concern that you are off what you were set up to do.
Really?
Getting trading, commercial activities and all the rest.
Really?
And your strategic mandate of keeping strategic reserves, you're getting off that one.
Okay, interesting question. I think maybe this gives me the opportunity to clarify the confusion in people's minds. I have 3 main mandates, like I said, 3. One is to build infrastructure for distribution, storage of petroleum products. That's one. It's core. The second one is strategic reserve. It's core. It's just one of them. The third one is to import petroleum products and export to the neighboring countries where necessary. I have 3 main mandates. If you go and look into our company registration papers, 3 main mandates. I have not deviated from any one of them. I'm not doing anything that is outside the mandate that has been given BOST.
Your tank farms, I mean, you're giving out to private entities, you're renting them out.
Yes.
Why doesn't rather become your strategic tanks?
They are my strategic,
you are giving out to private entities, you're renting at a very high rate as well.
High is debatable. It's an economic rate.
If you compare to other private firms, some are saying that is not what they are charging.
It's an economic rate.
According to
it's an economic rate. I provide better services, so maybe I charge a little more, but it's an economic rate I'm charging. The BOST margin, which comes into the company is just for the maintenance and operation of the tanks. There are other costs, like admin expenses, like salaries, like this head office, we're paying for it. There are other expenses. Where should the money come from? The money can only come when we monetize our spare assets. So by spare assets, I mean when we can't have everybody in this industry building their own tank farms. And so the whole idea was that once you own the asset, you can lease a portion of it out for a fee so that it can help you also run profitably or help you run and stay abreast with your expenses. So we have not veered off. We lease our ullage, we sell our ullage. If somebody wants to send their petroleum products to their customer in Kumasi, they use our infrastructure where we move the product to Kumasi for them, and then their customer, which is the OMC, comes to pick it from Kumasi. That is a vital service for the country. And because the market is liberalized, you need this type of infrastructure, which is very expensive to build, to enable economic development. And that is one of our mandates. So selling our spare capacity is not moving away.
You told me that the BOST margin brings in just about 11% of your this thing. You are now more, commercialized and all the rest. And so you're doing well. Maybe has the time come for the margin itself to be taken away? Maybe since you're doing very well, less.
No, it's the BOST margin is for a purpose, and that purpose is to socialize the cost for the social services that we provide. And by that, because we build the infrastructure in some very non-profitable areas.
Who built this infrastructure?
We built it.
Isn't it government?
Yeah. So we are offering a social services. When I put a depot in Savelugu, it comes at a cost. I need to put accommodation by that depot. I need to have technicians there. I need to maintain the equipment regularly. It comes at a cost. Now, how many people have customers in Savelugu? They don't. So I carry a huge cost. Where if I, as a private businessman, want to invest my dollars, there is no way I will go to Buipe, Bolga, Savelugu. There's no way. So the BOST margin is to help maintain the infrastructure, or else all the infrastructure will collapse. That's it. All the infrastructure will collapse. So that quantity of money is enveloped to just make sure that the equipment is running. Let me tell you something. When I joined BOST, our all our economic assets, by economic assets, I mean revenue earning assets, almost all of them were out of operation. It was only 17% that were operational when I joined BOST. As we speak today, because of the increment in the BOST margin, we've been able to bring back to life all those non-operational assets. One of them is the pipeline from Wiafe to Bolga. Another one was the barges on the Akosombo Dam. All the 4 barges were not operational. Another one was the pipeline from Tema to Akosombo. It was out of service. We had 3 depots that were not operational. We were virtually down. And that was the case I made. Because when you go and read the reason for the BOST margin, it's in the NPA Act. It is for what? Maintenance of the infrastructure and then expansion where need be. So when you take that BOST margin out, then the signal to the company is that the next infrastructure you build, make sure you build it at places where it can pay for itself by itself. Because I mean, if you go and build it somewhere where there's no demand, obviously you're not going to make your money back. So that infrastructure is what is powering the economic life of this country. And taking the BOST margin away will be suicidal. What we need to do is that with this brilliant initiative by the government today, Gold for Oil, what we need to do is to ensure that as we drive the prices down, we find a way to put in place to increase the BOST margin a little so that we can start expanding the infrastructure.
You still want the margin to be increased despite all the marvelous work you've done to make it a more viable commercial entity.
4 years ago, I asked for 12 cities. 4 years ago, I was given 12 pesos. I was given 6 pesos. 4 years later, the BOST margin is still 9 pesos. I'm still asking for the 4 pesos. And let me explain to you. When the BOST margin was increased to 9 pesos, go and check the dollar rate. Fast forward to now, 9 pesos, check the dollar rate. 80 to 90% of what we buy with the BOST margin, we import. So I can tell you for a fact that the BOST margin today is woefully insufficient to manage and maintain the network.
So what do you tell those who might argue that, listen, because the BOST margin was not enough, it put some pressure on you to turn things around and make this company a very viable one. So increasing it could defeat that purpose. If you've done so well with this little margin, maybe you don't need an increment.
The BOST margin we got made us very innovative to run this business. I agree with you. Necessity is the mother of invention. So yes, when you're starving, you find ways to. But I don't think that where this company has got into, we just need to just maintain this infrastructure. The infrastructure has to expand. It has to expand. There's nothing on the western side. Northwestern side of the country. There's nothing there. We need to have a depot somewhere in Wa, for example. We need to build a pipeline instead of cars driving all the way from the landlord countries to this country. We need to build a pipeline from Wiafe to Paga so that we can have a station in Paga, and instead of the cars driving all the way, we build a pipeline there so the pipeline from Po in Burkina Faso can come and connect to us so that we stop destroying our roads. For example, we need to take advantage of Africa Free Trade Continental Agreement, and BOST is one of the non-traditional exports. The petroleum products is one of the non-traditional exports, which can give us a huge opportunity in terms of our dollar inflows. So we should be long-term thinking and not be myopic. I mean, today, at a certain point in time, the BOST margin was 50-something% of our income. Today, it's just 11%. Next year, it's going to be about 1% or almost 0.something%. But that is not to say that you take it off. You use it to develop the petroleum infrastructure.
You talked about roads, and it's interesting you talked about roads to some of these areas. Recently, your drivers or the tanker drivers were up in arms about the road situation being addressed. What do you boss make of this?
I think it's all about health and safety. Because I'm sure you acknowledge the fact that if, because of a bad road, there is an incident that triggers fire, the whole enclave in Tema is going to go up in flames. So I think having the right infrastructure to ensure economic development is very important. I'm happy the road minister and other stakeholders were able to resolve it amicably, where work is currently ongoing to
should
make
we have gotten there? Some will say that. Should we have gotten there? This thing has been there, iterated over years. I mean, you were a player in this industry as well. What pressure did you bring to the authority that matter to ensure that even, I mean, a smooth road would have helped? Smooth infrastructure, it's terrible.
It's, yeah, we played our part. We engaged a lot of stakeholders. I mean, the urban roads can tell you the amount of meetings we've called for, especially at Kasi. Yeah, but everybody has to play their part. And there are avenues to use as well to ensure things are done. And I don't fault drivers at all.
Govt for Oil program, how is it doing?
Govt for Oil. Govt for Oil is one of the most powerful initiatives that this country has embarked on.
According to the CEO, the MD of
since
Bust.
independence. Let me tell you, Govt for Oil is one of the most powerful initiatives that this country has embarked on since independence. And I'm going to tell you why. In 1967, there is gold reserves that we had was about 8 tons, 8.7 tons or 8 tons. Because of this Govt for Oil exchange, we have increased our gold reserves from 8 point something to 16.24.
Isn't that part of the whole gold purchase program by Bank of Ghana? And Govt for Oil is just a fraction of that one. And it's not just about because of this one. There's a whole program Bank of Ghana is implementing.
So that's where it becomes interesting, because then one would say, what percentage has this Govt for Oil contributed to the reserves? But it has contributed significantly to the reserves. The fact that at this particular juncture, because of those two external shocks that happened, we've been able as Ghanaians to put together our minds to sit down and be innovative enough and use our own natural resource to solve our own problems. I think it's extremely commendable. You know, Govt for Oil came in to address a very critical issue, and that issue was, if you remember, in October thereabout, inflation hit how much? 52%. In November 2022, petroleum prices was almost 23 cedis. The exchange rate being used to price petroleum products was at 17 cedis. Because of Govt for Oil today, the inflation rate is trending downwards because the wheel is quite slow, but it's trending downwards. We are around 40%. It's not good enough. But because of this program, our our inflation is trending downwards in the right direction.
Maybe more of a contributing factor than some would say that attributing Govt for Oil program as the reason for inflation.
Yes, it's a contributing factor, a major contributing factor. So I agree with you. The extent we need to use the econometrics to determine it, but it's a major contributing factor. Because of Govt for Oil, we have saved 11 cedis on diesel. From 23 cedis, we are now hovering around 12 cedis or 11 point something cedis because of Govt for Oil, or as a result of Govt for Oil, or Govt for Oil has contributed to that.
I still come back.
Hold on. The diesel prices has come down from 23 to 11 point something. The exchange rate that was $17 has come down to what? 11 point something dollars today.
Or something. Yeah.
So you cannot discount the impact of gold for oil. You cannot discount the impact.
I asked the question about how it's doing because in recent times we had some of the OMCs getting out, the BDCs getting out because they had some concerns, they are back and all the rest. And that's why it comes back to my question about how is it faring right now in terms of the level of participation by these players.
So we started this program in January with only five BDCs bought from us in January. By May, June, we had 25 BDCs participating.
That is as of May, just second
by
quarter.
June, as of June, we have 25 BDCs participating. Now, if you take the emotions out of this program benefits my colleagues very well. And let me explain to you. Hitherto, if you went to go and look into their books, you will see huge forex losses. As I speak to you, because of gold for oil today, everybody's buying, not everybody, but majority of those 25 BDCs, they buy in cedis and pay in cedis. So that risk that was eroding their margins is gone, totally. Now, the reason for gold for oil, which, give me some 5 minutes to explain. The inflation that got to 50-something% was driven by a forex-induced petroleum product pricing. Let me explain. In the price build-up, the forex plays a major role in the price build-up. So as a result of what happened post-COVID and then Russia-Ukraine, it hit our reserves big time, which made the price of the dollar go up tremendously. So the plan was that when we did the investigation, we realized that a huge chunk of the inflation was being driven by forex. And a huge chunk of forex was on the petroleum products. So if we can take the demand for dollars for petroleum products out of this economy and just buy petroleum products in cedis and find a way to pay for the petroleum products in another medium, then we will be solving that inflation problem. And that is the economics around that. And we have done that. We've proven that it's worked. Because we decided to pay with gold. And in paying with gold, we decided to now sell the petroleum product in cedis, get the receipts in cedis, use the cedis to buy more gold, and then the demand for the dollars, which drove the price of dollar up, started coming.
Some have said that it's basically the program lacks a lot of transparency.
Really?
Robbing Peter to pay Paul and all the rest. The bit about one in terms of the source of product. I mean, recently there was a Bloomberg report that raised issues about how products coming in from Russia, they are finding their way and all the rest here into the market.
Is Europe not buying products from Russia?
Under a certain arrangement. There were some OMCs that decided not to participate because they couldn't establish your source of your product. Where are you getting these products under this program from? They are not from a market that we can all recognize to participate. People are questioning the source of products.
There is a cap on Russian products.
Yeah. So your products are coming from Russia?
Some come from Russia.
Under
some
the
come from Europe.
Program.
No, a little come from Russia. Major comes from other European countries. Some come from Switzerland. Some comes from Netherlands. But the Russian products have not been banned. That's what I want you to know. The Europeans are buying Russian gas. They are buying Russian petroleum products. You get what I mean? So the Russian products is not an anathema. It's not a taboo. at all.
Do you think there should be more transparency under this program in terms of the source of product?
Go to MPA. Every product that comes into this country, that source is known. I mean, you're a journalist. Go to MPA. Request for all the bill of ladings. It's there. Source of product.
So it's no secret that some of our products did come from Russia.
Yes, it's no secret. It's not secret at all.
And do all the players know? Because why should a player, which I don't want to mention names, claims that they cannot establish the source of product, so they can't participate in that?
That is infantile talk.
They don't have.
It's very infantile talk. But let me tell you why. Because you can always go to the port master, or you can check online. I can go online right now and look for a ship, and it will tell you that this ship is coming from here. It's heading towards Accra. And the information is available. Anybody who talks about non-transparency, they don't know what they are talking about. Either they don't understand the industry, or they are just being mischievous. Because if you go to MPA today, the papers are there. If any supplier comes to ask us for source of products, we will give them the paper. It's public knowledge. It's nothing.
Let's come back to, again, this whole program and the role it has played in driving down the prices of petroleum products. Yes. There's most that the city being fairly stable and prices on the market have been fairly stable.
Yes.
And it's not this good for your program, because that is one bit as well. How do you respond to those concerns?
It depends. You know, economics is quite interesting. I acknowledge, as an economist as well, I acknowledge that the variables are plenty. And that's why I don't like to speculate. I don't like to go into that business. Now, I told you our hypothesis. And our hypothesis was the fact that the inflation was being driven by a petroleum, import of petroleum, dollar supply side inflation. And we realized that if we could take the demand for dollars, for petroleum products, out of this economy, we would be in a good shape. Because then the demand for dollars, which drives for prices up, will go out of the market. And then the prices will start falling. That was our hypothesis, basic one, hypothesis. Now, so for example, let me give you an example. At the time we brought in the first cargo, petroleum premiums was at $170. In January, when we brought in the first cargo at $70, the market had to respond, $70. Because if you bring it at $170, nobody will buy. All right?
Yeah.
Good. So prices started coming down drastically with the first cargo, even though it was just one cargo. And that is what market forces do. Subsequently, competitors who would not want to go out of the market will also start bringing prices below the $70 because they want to be relevant and stay in the market. All right? Good. The next month, the next 2 months, there will be intense competition. So indirectly, the positive externality is the aggressive competition in the marketplace. To an extent that as I speak to you today, premiums are hovering around $40 and $35 from $170. Nobody can say that is not good for oil that made that happen.
The debate is still out there. But again, as an economist as well, some have argued that, again, there has been an element of market disruption here in the bit where the payment terms you're offering to those who are participating. And if I'm a transporter or a bulk distributor outside there, and I know that you can do a cash payment and all the rest, it's changing the market dynamics, which could be said as not good as well.
Oh, but you can pay you can pay on credit, you can pay on cash, with cash, you can pay by gold, you can pay by platinum. It depends. A company decides what they want to do. Nobody can tell, I can't tell anybody not to pay by cash. But then the reason why we went for the cash was that we needed money to buy the gold. So we could not wait for 30 days to get the money to buy the gold, because when the petroleum products come in, we need the cash, sell, get the cash, go and buy the gold to pay for the next petroleum product. So let me also clarify something. I think, like the former president said, we have very short memory as Ghanaians. We forgot that this country at a certain point in time, November 2022, petroleum prices was at 23 cedis.
Because our currency was struggling.
Yes.
Not because prices have gone high on the international market.
Whatever it is.
But that's a fact.
Whatever it is. We also forget that the exchange rate, yes, currency was struggling, which impacted prices generally. But then there was an underlying global inflation happening already. COVID, post-COVID inflation. Nobody can say there was no post-COVID inflation. America, pre-COVID, their interest rate was about 0.2%. Post-COVID, it's roughly around 6-7%. Europe, everywhere, there was post-COVID inflation. And to put the impact of the Russia-Ukraine on us as well, took ours to the roof. Because obviously, like the Vice President said, when the fundamentals are weak, the exchange rate will expose you. And we're exposed. So when there's a market failure, and which people forget, when there's a market failure, we are not in normal times. Who should correct that market failure? Isn't it government? So government took the bull by its own to correct this market failure. And how does government correct the market failure? It can only correct that market failure through its agencies, not through the private sector. Because when you are in crisis and you need serious surgery, you go to the doctor. And that is what we did.
Again, I struggle to understand and help me out. You are using money to go and buy gold to trade. Isn't it going around in circles? If I can use this money to buy these products, why am I first trying to buy gold and then later use that gold to exchange for that product? And all these things raises a lot of concerns and ambiguity in people's minds about this program.
You asked me, it's a very brilliant question, and I'm so excited you asked me this question. You're a very intelligent guy, George. You talked about the road going back. Most of the times, there's only one pot for government, one pot. And when the money comes in and the demands are so much, sometimes we don't have money to do everything. So let me tell you why we decided to take the demand for dollars outside this economy. It is because when you sell and you bring the dollars in and you put it in that pot, you need dollars to buy medicine, don't you? Is medicine oil? No. You need
commodity.
You need dollars to buy other things. You need dollars to buy so many other things. But this program was focusing strictly on petroleum products. So we said, let's take the demand for dollars out of this market. That meant that when we go and monetize the petroleum product, either through direct barter or through selling and using it to buy petroleum products, let's make sure that dollar is used to pay instantly and not bring it back into the country. Because when it comes into that pot, the competing demands for that dollars will not solve the problem we want to solve. So that was the reason why we did that.
You believe that this program has been very effective and all the rest. Some are saying that if I still look at the prices of petroleum products out there on the market at the pumps, some will still question the impact of this program on the final price of that good on the market.
Well, you can do your analysis. I'm sure you can. I mean, sometimes your research team can just go and look at the petroleum price build-up and trend it over time and see what has happened to petroleum prices over time. Can we do more? Yes, I think we can do more. And I believe strongly that had it not been for one or two things, would have been having single-digit petroleum prices.
You see that very soon?
Oh yes, it will happen very soon. The competition will drive the price down. The gold for oil has triggered a certain market dynamic that is going to continue over time.
You're quite optimistic about this program. It's quite upbeat.
I wouldn't be running this program if I'm not optimistic. I don't do things I don't believe in.
Because I engaged the Association of Oil Marketing Companies, and I will put this out. I mean, we had a program of Mandia. He thought that the time for this program has passed. I mean, at that time was needed. Going forward, let's move on.
What is inflation now? 40%. So have we solved the problem? We haven't solved the problem.
Was good for your program dealing with inflation or driving the price of the finished petroleum product down?
The hypothesis was a huge chunk of inflation was as a result of the petroleum price, forex-induced petroleum price. You get what I mean? We haven't solved the problem yet.
So you think the program should still go on?
Yes,
you
the
think
program should go on until we bring petroleum prices to single digits.
Because some have said that
we are still not out of the
should
emergency
be just
mode.
a temporary program and not a program where infinity.
What is temporary?
Just for a year or 2 years, and we are
have we done 1 year? We haven't done 1 year.
So you think it should go for a year?
I think it should go beyond. I think it should. It's a temporary program, but temporary is very subjective. I think it should go on until we have this economy in our hands.
If tomorrow, next year by this time,
if we have
prices have come down, we can bring an end to go for your program.
I don't decide that because I'm not a policy guy.
You would advise your board to do that.
What I know is that gold for oil is helping solve an important problem in this country. And it's a temporal program, but temporal is subjective. Obviously, let me be honest with you, and I empathize with my other colleagues because I know a particular supplier who used to control about 60-something% of this market. Because of gold for oil, his market share has dropped to about 40-something. Will they be happy with gold for oil? No. Wouldn't they be incentivized to find a way to get gold for oil to just shut down quickly?
You think there are some actors who are
obviously
working very
hard?
Obviously.
For some people, it's not about national development.
And not about the fact that there are issues about transparency, issues about the program.
The program is extremely transparent. They can go to NPA. The data is there. The sources are there. They can do the analysis on the prices. They are there. But obviously, some people don't see this as a nationalistic program to help alleviate the suffering of our people.
Because
let me land. This program was to help alleviate the suffering of our people.
Has it done that?
Tremendously. Didn't you recently see the transport fares go down? When in this country has transport fares gone down? Gold for oil has made it's still high. That's why we are not done yet. That's why the job is not done yet.
You talked about when you came in and where Bust has been taken from, and now it's more of on a solid profit and all.
Not yet.
There are some who say that a Bust in the past got into certain programs that got their hands bent. And the concern is also being expressed about gold for oil program that maybe today it's seen as transparent. Tomorrow, there might be issues that will be uncovered. And see that this program has bent the hands of God.
George.
Yeah.
The fact that you sat in the car and it's had an accident before doesn't mean you will sit in the car again.
But
or the fact that
you know where Bust has come from.
You've observed the plane crash means that you won't fit in an aeroplane again. You'd rather walk from here to the US. No. We have learnt our lessons. This place was being run with almost zero control and processes. As we speak, we've just won an award from Corporate Governance Excellence Awards. We've put in place systems and processes to ensure that things that happened in the past, which killed our brand, would never happen again. So I empathize with those who, if you've gotten a broken heart before and you see another beautiful woman, you are scared that they'll break your heart again. But that doesn't mean that you should not fall in love again. You get what I mean? So the fact that we had some issues in the past does not mean that we will continue having issues. We put in processes. When I came in 2019, the Auditor General, we had 18 issues. As I speak to you, our issues have dropped from 18 all the way to about 3 or 4 as we speak today. So there's progress. And the fact that we've been bent once does not mean we'll be bent.
This is PM Express Business Today. You should be looking at Ghana's petroleum storage and Bust and the role that they are playing. We'll be coming back to look at the outlook or the future of this company and also the industry as well. Can we still see prices drop further than what we've seen? This is PM Express Business Edition. Welcome back to PM Express Business Edition. As we look at Ghana's petroleum storage and strategic reserves and the role that BOST is playing. I have with me the Chief Executive or the Managing Director of the bulk storage and transportation company, Edwin Provençal. I always struggle, Provençal.
I know. Provençal is
Let's look at prices right now. And I know this is not an area that, but do you see prices going down further? Because there are some who are saying that it's still quite high. And maybe, competition, a certain player moved from nowhere and is now among the top three, and price has been a major factor here.
Yeah, I mean, the market price cannot be, it's not within our control. So depending
Maybe you can use Gold for your program to do that.
When I say the market price, I mean the global price.
Okay.
The global price, the premiums, they are not within our control. The result of a lot of market forces. So China can come out today to say that make an announcement today and prices can drop or prices can go up. The Forex, I'm talking about the price build-up. The Forex, which is also a major part of the price build-up, is some way, somehow, with monetary policy, you can control it a little to your advantage, but because Ghana is a small country and our reserve situation is not too interesting as well, it becomes challenging. So I believe that when prices go up on the international market, the impact on the consuming public in Ghana, because of gold for oil, will be heavily reduced.
Interesting. There are some who have said that the best form of gold for oil program is firmly stabilizing the Ghana cedi.
I agree.
The currency is firmly stable.
I agree with you.
That is our best form of gold for oil program.
That is the whole idea of the gold for oil. Going for the gold, buying in cedis is to help firm the exchange rate.
In terms of the supply chain, I don't know how this could come to BOST, or how are you worried also? The whole idea about ensuring the safety of the product, contamination and all the rest. What is BOST playing in this whole supply chain to ensure that products are safe, they are secured, and using a layman's language, they are fine, even though you don't drink it?
Good. I mean, this is an interesting question. I'm sure since I came, you haven't heard about any negative story.
No
about
dirty oil being stored in your tanks and all
yeah,
the
because
rest.
like I said, we put in place processes, and especially the presidential report that came up, the Senior Husi report on contamination. So yes, once or twice, for example, I remember in Kumasi, we identified some trucks that had off-spec product. Obviously, en route to Kumasi, they were passed somewhere and did some. The report said that when these things are identified, one, we should sell it competitively. But we have decided not to sell contaminated products. What we will do going forward, we'll take it to TOR, we'll go and blend it and sell it onto the market. So we'll go and correct the contamination and sell it onto the market. We will not just get up and sell contaminated products anymore. We'll correct the contamination and then sell it so we can benefit. That and other processes we've put in place would ensure that this will not be will be a thing of the past. Another thing we're doing now is we are buying petroleum analyzers for all our depots. And very soon, any product that comes in will be tested. So when we send a product from Accra, we'll give you a certificate. When you get to Kumasi to go and discharge the product, we will test it again. If it is not the same product that has come, we will deal with you.
And these measures will deal with the issue about contamination, transportation.
They will deal with all.
Your financials, I mean, turn around. Interesting. There are some who also still doubt. I mean, again, I'll use a layman term about the scrutiny and whether the numbers have indeed gone through the fire for you to post those telling numbers.
Isn't it amazing that when the Auditor General, and I'm coming to Joy FM, when the Auditor General finds issues about BOST, you guys discuss it like it's the truth. But when the same Auditor General comes out with bust haven't turned the company around, there are doubts in your listeners' hearts and minds. But the truth is that numbers don't lie. When we were making losses, everybody was happy we were making losses, and they were happy they were, they were bashing the company. As soon as the company turns around, now people are no more happy. Say, but why should this company be making profit? They are supposed to be making losses. We are not that cursed. So yes, we've turned the company around. From 2016, we made our highest loss of 456 million cedis. 2021, we crossed the zero mark. We made a profit of 161 million cedis. 2022, the accounts have been audited. We are yet to have our AGM, but the listeners will hear this on Joy FM for the first time. We have more than doubled the 2022 profits.
And what was the driving factor here? Was it efficiency or the Gold for Oil program?
The Gold for Oil started in January.
Or the bus margin contributing to that?
Gold for Oil started in January.
Okay.
The bus margin is just 11% of our.
So what are you doing that has gotten the company turned around? Being more efficient?
I think
being lean? Because there are some who say that the staff numbers maybe.
We are still making profits. Anyway, I think first, thanks go to the Almighty God for giving me and my team the brain and focus to pick a company from where it was, and today Ghanaians are happy and we're getting all these awards as the best run SOE in the country. So thanks be to God. The second thanks goes to the President of Ghana for having confidence in my board and myself to steer the affairs of BOST to this time. We are extremely grateful to him for giving us the opportunity to serve our country. The next goes to the Minister of Energy, whose unflinching support has brought us this far. And then the Auditor General plays a key role in this as well, because it is as a result of his findings about our commissions and omissions that has led us to brave the storm and come this far. But back to your question. What have we done differently? It's quite a lot, and you don't have a lot of time.
In a minute, I mean, what do you sum up in a minute?
In a minute, I can tell you that the same staff we had at the time we were making losses are the same staff we have today, who are driving performance and earning very nice bonuses on profits. And I guess it's a change of mindset. It's some nationalism into state-owned enterprises. It's world-class management practices. As I speak to you today, I have 3 of my staff at Harvard who are going through a management program in Harvard. And so it is as a result of these initiatives and support from my board chairman and the board of directors. We have put in place 22 new policies. Did that mean that we didn't have policies before?
We did.
So that is very noteworthy.
As you wrap up in a minute, how do you see BOST going forward in the future in a minute as we bring this program to an end?
I think Ghanaians, I want to make an appeal to Ghanaians to support BOST because we have proven that with the right leadership, the right motivations, state-owned enterprises can be run very, very, very profitably. Now, guess what? Imagine you have 100 companies making 200 million cedis profit for the government. That is almost 20 billion Ghana cedis we don't have to borrow. And so I think with the right motivations, with the right people, with the right structures, with the right boards and programs, state-owned enterprises can be one of the solutions to Ghana's fiscal problems.
And this support you're talking about could be in a form of moral support, not necessarily increasing the BOST margin, right? This is PM Express Business Edition. We bring Ghana into this program. I know the debate will still go on in your offices, in your homes, about whether BOST is staying on track and also the state of our strategic reserves and what can be done to improve it. Have a great day. This has been PM Express Business Edition.